Mitch McConnell froze while he was at the podium. This was interesting to watch because, yeah. So this was really interesting to watch because, well, let's just watch. So first, this happened just prior to him freezing, and so this was the first thing. He froze and said, but they were asking him how he was doing since he fell a couple months ago, and suffered a concussion. And obviously he said he's fine. So here's that clip.
Could you address what happened at the start of the press conference, and was it related to your injury from earlier this year where you suffered a concussion? Is that you fine? You're fully able to do your job?
Mr. Leader, can I just get your...
Okay. So he says he's fine. And then not a few minutes later, yeah. Well, Courtney says it was horrific. They should have immediately stopped the conference and taken him to the hospital. I mean, they did remove him. So we'll watch that clip here now because he froze, and then it was like he didn't know where he was at. So here, we'll see. Yeah, Courtney, you're right. They definitely covered it up for the press. It was scary to watch because it was like he was talking and then he just froze. Like he stopped talking. That's what everybody jumped in. And then he's like, do you want to say anything else? And he was like mid-sentence when it happened. And then they escort him away. No, he's definitely not high.
So this is we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the IRA.
So then so this is the second clip. You can see. Come on. And then they're walking him out. So here's the thing. Like, I feel bad because, and honestly, like I said, he's the leader in the Senate. You know, he's the minority leader in the Senate, right? So he's like the Republicans' top person in the Senate, and it's not coherent to be there. And again, I go back to a couple weeks ago, we were talking about Dianne Feinstein, and actually Dianne Feinstein had a similar instance this week. Like, I forget what it was with Dianne Feinstein earlier this week, but she had a moment herself. And this is what I said at the time back in February, because we were talking about when Joe Biden fell. Dianne Feinstein had, she was wheelchaired into the Senate not long before that. And so, but this is what I had said back on Timcast on June 1st, that there should be an age limit to when you can run for president, run for Congress, everything like that. I mean, who is it? Is it the Congresswoman
Dianne Feinstein?
Yes.
Yep.
Who was wheelchaired into the...
She looks like the Crypt Keeper.
And she asked Kamala Harris, "What are you doing up here?"
Yeah.
When she was speaking, when she was presiding over the Senate.
She's there to check a box. Yep.
I mean, wow. And she's just... she doesn't know what she's doing there, yet she's casting votes.
Yes.
At the least, a grip strength test of grip strength, because that's like an indication of muscular atrophy. If you can't pick yourself up off the ground, I don't think you're fit to command. Let alone the mental stuff. That's a little more challenging of like, are you smart enough to do the job? Like, who tests for that?
And I mean, you got to look at, honestly, like after 9/11, George Bush,
So I do. I firmly believe, and so this is not a new idea that I've been talking about, but I do firmly believe that We absolutely need to have an age limit as to when you can be in office. It makes sense, which is probably why they won't do it. The thing is at this point, when it comes to Mitch McConnell, Joe Biden, Dianne Feinstein, like, this is elder abuse. Like, what we know. Oh, that's what it was. So the Dianne Feinstein clip, her aides were literally sitting there telling her to just say A, like, yeah, A. So agree with what they were saying. Like, that's all she had to say was that. Her aides were telling her multiple times over and over. So like I said in that clip, she doesn't know what she's doing there, and she's just casting the votes of what her aides are telling her to do. So people are voting for people that are not actually representing them. And honestly, one of the biggest reasons, and this is a little bit morbid, but it's the truth, is, after the age of 65, 70, many people at those, after you hit 65, you should retire. You should not be allowed to. I think 65 is a good age to start your last term. Okay. Because that gets you to what, 71 in the Senate, 6 years, I believe. And so what happens is, once that passes, you will, most policies that come into play, they don't. So yeah, most policies, when they come in, when they enact these policies, you don't see the full ramifications of the policies for years later. And so what happens now is, most people that we have in Congress right now will never have to live with the consequences of the policies that they are enacting. So that's why I think that's the biggest thing, that we can talk about with that. They should, you should have to live with the consequences. Like, if we enacted communism tomorrow, is Joe Biden going to have to deal with, bread lines and food shortages and stuff like that, or any of his family members? No, neither are any of these other people. And so that is why we need to have an age limit. What's amazing to me is we have a minimum age. So to be president, you have to be 35 years old, right? So to have a minimum age, why not have a maximum age? Because we know that 35 is set because of cognitive ability and, life experience at that point. And so at 65, your cognitive ability starts to decrease. And so you should, again, not burden yourself with these things. But yeah, that's kind of what I want to talk about with that, because like I said, we have quite a bit more to kind of talk about. But one of the big news that we talked about this a few weeks ago, right? So Joe Biden, who is actually, yeah, and this is what I'm saying is, and Joe Steubens said Trump is up there too. Yeah, I think Trump's older than Joe Biden, I think. And so that's the point, is this isn't left and right. This isn't because I think Trump has the cognitive ability to do the job, because I do. Because when people say he's not all there, he comes back with some of these retorts that are hilarious, and he is there a lot of times. But I think at this point, I would rather see somebody like, this is one reason why I like Vivek Ramaswamy, is because he is 38 years old.